Hello and good morning once again, and welcome to the AI Academy. We'll be waiting just about a minute here while we get more attendees in, but thank you for joining once again. We have a really exciting academy for you today, focusing in on analysis and knowledge management. So I hope you're all excited to see this new feature. Cool. So I think we have a good quorum of people, so we'll get started. My slides want to change. 1 second. Apologies. 1 second. Oh. Okay. Awesome. So you guys have probably seen this quite a bit. Just anything that we say here today is subject to change, so please don't make any. And we might be making some forward-looking statements, so please do not make any purchasing decisions based on what we say here today, based on those forward-looking statements. So keep that in mind while we go through this material. And we have some resources available for you beyond just this AI Academy. So you have the community page. You've got community focused on knowledge management, which is the topic which we'll be covering today. And we also have the ServiceNow community YouTube hub. So this video, in addition to all our prior AI Academies, are available up on that YouTube page within a playlist just called AI Academy, surprisingly. So please go check that out if you haven't already. We have some really good stuff there. So just some basics on the AI Academy. So these are created for you. So we really try and go a little bit deeper into the products that we are releasing or have already released and give you the practical guidance on how to use them. We are recording the session and we will be posting it up on that YouTube playlist that I mentioned just prior. And you should notice that you have access to the Q&A panel within the Zoom webinar. So please, at any time, feel free to ask any questions. You have a couple of us hanging in the wings here to answer those questions while Ashley goes through her presentation. Now today, we'll be spending just about half an hour on this to go through an overview, go into an exercise, and then after the exercise, we actually have some suggested guidance on how to actually leverage analysis and knowledge management. Afterwards, just however much time we get left, we'll make sure to carve out some time for Q&A as well. And now with that said, I'll hand over to Ashley to show you guys what analysis and knowledge management looks like. Pretty exciting.
Awesome. Thank you, Eliza. I'm going to go ahead and just switch screen sharing here. I did want to introduce myself. So I'm Ashley Snider. I'm the outbound product manager for knowledge management and Now Assist in knowledge management. So we do have a knowledge management academy as well, which I'll go ahead and plug. So if you're looking for knowledge management things that aren't really Gen AI, you want to know kind of more about processes and kind of core knowledge management, we have that academy for you on the community as well. And we'll also be talking about some Gen AI stuff in there, but mainly kind of housing all of our generative AI and AI content within the AI Academy. So thank you, Eliza and Victor, for having me on today. So let's go ahead and get started here. I do want to kind of talk about kind of what problems and issues we were targeting for the first release. With that being said, we are releasing version 1 of Now Assist in Knowledge Management in May. So right now we are slated for the May store release. So if you are looking for demos, if you're looking to get more information about Now Assist in Knowledge Management from your account teams, If you're going to Knowledge 24, we'll have all that information there for you. But if you're not going to Knowledge 24, right after Knowledge 24, we'll definitely have all this information for you online. So really exciting release and exciting time. So I want to kind of talk about the problems that we started to solve for in the first release. We're really focusing on the agent experience itself. We know that agents are continuously multitasking. They don't really have the time to create knowledge articles for the cases and the incidents they resolved. Despite their best efforts, they are continuously taking those chats and those calls and those incidents and cases that are coming in. And a lot of the times, knowledge management, knowledge articles are secondary and kind of fall by the wayside. We also wanted to focus on kind of the agent experience of having to start from a blank slate, especially when you have like a really long and complex case or incident. Where do you even begin kind of summarizing the information and putting that information into a knowledge article? That can be a little overwhelming at times. And then also ultimately the lack of knowledge articles for self-service and agents, right? We have our agent issue where they can't find articles, they need to troubleshoot issues. So that kind of leads to longer resolution times. It leads to kind of unnecessary escalations at times. And then you have your employees and your customers, those who are kind of using your portals and your self-service solutions. They can't find what they need either on those self-service channels, just due to those knowledge gaps and those lack of knowledge articles. So this is what we're targeting for May and for version 1, these kind of problems. So quick kind of benefits slide here. What can you really kind of expect for the outcomes and what can you expect to see out of Now Assist in knowledge management? Of course, we want to have that faster turnaround time for article generation. And we want to bring in relevant task kind of content and context into those knowledge articles so that information doesn't get missed. We want increased self-service and deflection with the availability of knowledge articles. And of course, we want that faster resolution time for your agents. We want to reduce kind of redundant troubleshooting and then also kind of reduce those unnecessary and preventable escalations that are out there. To kind of get into some data, we get a lot of these questions already from different customers and different account teams. So I want to kind of show you the data that we're targeting for the May release. So for version 1, we are gathering context from fields such as short description, resolution or close notes, and then of course our journal fields, so our work notes and our additional comments. I will mention if you have resolution or closed notes present when you generate the article, you're going to get a better version of that article and you're going to reduce the risk of hallucinations and kind of made up resolutions. So you can generate articles that aren't in the closed or resolved state, but you do kind of run that risk of a hallucination. And for version 1, once you draft an article from a case or an incident or an HR case, the ability to update it using generative AI isn't present for version 1. That's a roadmap item for us. So, the more data that you can have in your cases and incidents, the better quality article you're going to get out. So in regards to the LLM itself, we are using our domain-specific Now LLM. So kind of what this means, just like our other Now Assist products that are out there, this is our proprietary LLM. It's trained and fine-tuned for our ServiceNow use cases, such as generating articles from task-based records. What this means is that we take over a lot of the development and the tuning that you would normally have to do. If you go on and perform a Google search or Chat GPT search, you're going to get a list of things that you're going to have to do, from picking an LLM to doing all that tuning and testing and things like that. We take care of a lot of that for you, and we do it on ServiceNow code, text, and anonymized customer data. We also optimize the LLM for our architecture, so our Now Platform architecture, our security, and our data model. So a lot of that heavy lifting, that way you really only have to worry about kind of the outcomes of using our Now Assist products. So I know we have a lot of information on the AI Academy about our LLMs. There's a lot of information out in the community. So if you want to dig deeper on that topic, definitely go to the AI Product Hub that Eliza mentioned earlier. So let's just, before we get into the demo, let's just cover what we have coming out in version 1 in the May store release. So for the May store release, you can generate one article from one case, incident, or HR case. So we have that one-to-one relationship, and an article must be anchored or attached to a task record, meaning that we don't have the capability for this release to create freestanding articles from other sources, such as attachments, documents, or external sources for now. So just know kind of we are looking at that one-to-one relationship between a task-based record and an article for May. We are supporting Now Assist in ITSM, CSM, and HR service delivery for May. We will expand in future releases. We are using the standard template, which a lot of our customers use and have been using, and the KCS template. So if you're a KCS program type customer, you've enabled the KCS plugins and you use that template, you'll continue to use it. And we do plan on supporting more out of the box and custom templates in a future release. So article generation, it does support your current permissions, and you can contribute user criteria on your knowledge bases. So you don't have to worry about who can create articles. We're respecting all of the user criteria that you have put in place, and we're following your current governance process. So as mentioned, these are drafts. So the article is not in a published state. We're following your current workflows and approval processes per your knowledge bases. So another thing that you don't have to worry about. It is in that draft state, but I will kind of get into governance in just a little bit. Other than that, we did release a new 3-column layout for article editing and workspaces, and I'll show this in the demo. The classic environment form is also supported. So if you haven't moved over to workspaces yet, you can still use this functionality in the classic environment when you're working on incidents, cases, or HR cases. And then also we do support generation, we call it in product, and I'll show this in the demo, which is a button or a UI action in the workspace, and the Now Assist panel. So you can do this either or, and I do have some caveats on kind of the knowledge bases that we'll cover in the demo here. I know we have some questions rolling in. Let me get into the demo. Let me see if that answers some, and then we can kind of get back to those once we go into our suggested guidance. So let me go ahead and share my instance here. All right, so what we're going to do, I want to show you kind of what the setup looks like and what you can expect to see in the setup. Just like our other Now Assist products, everything's done through the Now Assist admin console. So once you install the Now Assist in Knowledge Management plugin through Application Manager, you're ready to set up the skill. You'll go into the Now Assist admin console and go into Now Assist features. I'll show you for kind of CSM and customer workflows, but all of the workflows are kind of the same. It's very similar. That's why we kind of set up the Now Assist admin console to be very similar, despite kind of what workflow that you're using. So you'll see the skill here alongside your other skills that you're used to seeing, such as case summarization or resolution notes generation. And you'll see KB generation for now. As we add on more knowledge skills, they'll be underneath kind of that card and that layout. So I have this one activated for our demo. Kind of some things to tell you. We do tell you what LLM that we're using. I know our creator Now Assist products have some different LLMs out there, but if you have questions on which LLM we're using, we display it to you right here. So setting this up, the same as other Now Assist skills, we really bring you through kind of this guided setup process where you choose a few things, review a few things, and then you are good to go. So kind of version 1, what you can expect, let's say you were setting this up for CSM and cases. We do have some guardrails here that we put in place for version 1. So you can kind of see these fields are read only, but you can see the table that we're using. You can see the input fields that we're using. One thing I want to note right here, default knowledge base for NAP. So the Now Assist panel, it can only use one knowledge base right now. So if you have agents who are using the panel, this is kind of where you'll set up the knowledge base for where those articles are created. If you're using it in products, or if you're using those buttons in a workspace or in the classic environment, you're going to see a modal window, and we'll see this in just a few minutes, where you can actually select a knowledge base. So something to kind of keep in mind when you're rolling this out and when you're thinking about how you want agents to use this if they're using the analysis panel up here, that all those articles are going to go into the knowledge base that you select here. And again, it does respect those user criteria permissions as well. So availability, you can choose here what states and other criteria you want this functionality to be available on. So out of the box, right, we're going to give you resolved and closed cases and incidents. You're going to get a lot better articles if you have those resolution notes in. You can change this if you need to. You can put in different states if you need to. Just, be kind of aware of, the content that you have in your cases and incidents and kind of the outcomes that you'd expect to see. But you can also add more conditions in here as well. So if you have more granular things that you want to kind of control this on, you can do that. Or you can just say it's always available, and this will kind of, blow away any kind of conditions and criteria that you have. So I'm going to leave it out of the box and default for today. And here's just where we display this functionality. So in product, like I mentioned, in our workspaces with our buttons or Now Assist panel, just like other products, you can get more granular in the roles that you want to see this. And I'll kind of mention this. This is really kind of where you're going to control how you roll this out to agents. I know we have a lot of concerns about, now all my agents can generate so many articles. How am I going to handle all these articles? This is how you're really going to do that kind of phased and wave approach. If you want to do that, you would just create kind of a custom role and then apply that to a group and then onboard your agents, within that kind of phased approach. So that's where you'll do that here. I'm just going to leave this out of the box for now. And then we just kind of review and activate here. We don't have too much to review since we're on version 1. I know some other skills get a lot more granular and have a lot more options now that you might need to review a little bit. And then we're done. So I'm going to show you just a few different kind of use cases that we have. Setup is pretty easy. Let's go ahead and go into our CSM configurable workspace. For the sake of time, I'll just remain as admin, but your CSM agent would be the one who could see this per the kind of the default criteria that we have in. So I have this case here. It is in an open state, hasn't been closed yet. Don't mind this demo data here, but as we can see, we have a lot of activity on the case itself. We have a lot of kind of back and forth on the case itself and some information. And we really kind of want to capture that within the article. One thing I want to mention is if I go and the case isn't in resolved or closed per kind of the setup that we had that we just saw, if I hit create knowledge, it's going to kind of take me through the flow where I can choose my knowledge base. I can choose my article template. And again, this is all going to check your user criteria on the background. And I can hit create article. So this didn't give me anything. This is what I expect to see. This is what I want. This is not using generative AI because we put those controls in place to where generative AI and Now Assist and knowledge management isn't going to kick in until that case is in a closed or resolved state. So if you're using our out of the box kind of controls, this is kind of the behavior that you can expect to see and kind of that blank draft that your agents are starting from when they are generating knowledge articles. So let's go back in. I'm going to just do a few things. I'm going to use my Now Assist panel here. I'm going to grab some resolution notes to make it easy for this demo and wrap up this case. And then we'll try and create a knowledge article after that. So I'm going to go ahead and just pop these in, get my resolution code here, and we'll close this case. All right, so I can see that my case has been closed, and I'm going to do this in product. So this is kind of the in product flow. You just saw the Now Assist panel flow. I'll show you that on an incident. But in product, I'll hit create knowledge. Same kind of thing. I can choose my knowledge base here. So that differs from the panel. And I can choose the template. Like I mentioned, it's either KCS or standard. So you're going to see if you select one of these, it's going to default to standard on the back end. One important thing to kind of note until we expand support. I'm going to hit create article. And I do see a question. I can go ahead and answer. HRSD, it will be available for HRSD in May. So now I see this modal window because my case was resolved and closed. And now I can see, yes, I want a draft with Now Assist. I get some information as an agent about it that, the better my data is, the better quality articles I'm going to get out. So let's go ahead and draft this with Now Assist. And now we can see that we have an article generated, and it's grabbing a lot of context from the case itself, giving me that kind of first draft. I mean, there's some things that I'll probably want to edit out as an agent, like a customer recently upgraded. I'll probably want to change that kind of wording. I do get kind of my resolution and some nice bullet or a nice ordered list here that makes the article really kind of readable. We're using, correct grammar and correct spelling, and I don't have to worry about typos here. So this really kind of gives me that really good first draft. As an agent, I'm definitely going to want to take a moment to look over this, ensure that everything is correct, and ensure that the resolution is correct before I put it through any kind of approval processes or publishing processes. So this is kind of where that human intervention is still needed, but I have a really good first start here based upon all the context that I have in the case. So you can imagine if you have one of those really lengthy cases, how it's going to provide a lot of great information for you here. So as far as questions, let me go ahead and get into some. You can change the knowledge base afterwards. Again, it's just like, once we generate the article, now we're kind of getting back into our knowledge management processes and flows here. So you can go into the metadata and change the knowledge base if you want to. Templates. So if you want to use the KCS template, those plugins do have to be active. As far as the standard template, that one's kind of different than the other templates in the advanced plugin. Even if you don't have the advanced plugin turned on, you can still use that standard template, and we kind of default to it. That's why we kind of made that decision, because we couldn't expect all of our customers to have templates and advanced turned on. So that's why you have that either or, right? That standard template versus KCS template. So no, you don't have to really kind of worry about activating all these templates and getting them set up until we kind of support more templates that are out of the box and more custom templates. We're just going to default you to that standard template that's kind of built into Knowledge Management Core itself. So with that, we can go ahead. I know we're getting low on time. Same kind of flow for incident management. And then also if you wanted to use the Now Assist panel, I was going to show that, but we're getting low on time. So we'll cover that in another webinar. But you could create a prompt to generate an article, and it's going to give you kind of the article number here and a link to pop out to the article and put it in that knowledge base that you specified. So that's what it would look like from the Now Assist panel. I do want to pop out of here and just kind of cover a few things before we kind of wrap up. And we will have kind of a longer session of this in the Knowledge Management Academy for May. So we'll get a little bit deeper into all this. But I wanted to show you version 1, kind of what it looks like and what you can expect to see. So a few things before we go. You're going to see these slides in the PDF. So I want to kind of show you them and kind of touch on them, but I won't get deep into them for time's sake. But before you implement, really kind of think about the problems that you want to solve with Now Assist in knowledge management, what outcomes you're expecting to see. You may have already had these outcomes defined for your current knowledge management program, and you'll just be kind of comparing them against now using generative AI. And kind of see, what those benchmarks and what those metrics and targets look like versus manual creation. And again, how will you measure success? So you're probably already measuring success currently for your knowledge management program. And just to start thinking about what kind of outcomes you want to measure, how are you going to measure your generative AI articles versus your manual articles? How will you kind of communicate that value, once you roll out Now Assist in knowledge management to your leadership and your stakeholders, and kind of go ahead and start establishing some baselines. So if you know you're going to purchase this and start rolling it out, go ahead and get those baseline and those metric numbers for your manual creation. So you kind of have that beforehand kind of information. And then after you implement, you can start seeing kind of what's happening with generative AI and what outcomes that you're getting. So a couple of things on guidance. I won't get too much into all the wording here due to time, but so knowledge quality is now tied to case quality. So as you saw in the demo, the better your documentation on your cases, incidents, and HR cases are now, the better article drafts you're going to get out. So something to start thinking about now is your case quality assurance process. Kind of what quality measures do you have in place? How do you handle documentation? How do you ensure quality documentation? Or if you don't have these in place, kind of what processes can you start putting in place? That way you don't have to worry about, you've made this purchase for Now Assist. I'm not getting quality articles, and that's due to my case quality and my documentation, and you're having to kind of bump up both at the same time. So a really good time to start thinking about your documentation on your tasks for incidents, cases, and HR cases. Good time to start training agents on documentation quality and how they can better document within these tasks. That way you can get set up, and then also look into some features that can help. So there's case templates, incident templates, HR templates that are out there. There is a coaching module that's out there that if you're licensed for, if you're now wanting to look into quality assurance and you want to start coaching, we have that coaching module that can be out there and be used for this too. So again, good time to contact your account team if you're thinking about this and say, what kind of features do you have in place to help me with this and get ready for this? Another thing is that, AI is a great assistant, but you're going to need that human verification. So you're going to need someone checking those articles. You want to make sure that he's going through any kind of review processes that you have. If you're an instant publish kind of shop, kind of think about that now. Like, how are you going to review these articles if they're being instantly published? That really would mean that you need to train your agents and make sure that they're aware that before they publish these, they really need to kind of go through them and make sure that they're adhering to kind of your content standards and the kind of information that you expect to be in them before they publish them. Communicating value, right? Communicate the value of what's in it for agents when they create these articles. Get them excited about it. It's going to lessen, hopefully, a lot of those cases that are more simple and unnecessarily time consuming, but it's also going to bolster your self-service resolutions as well. So freeing up agents to kind of do more meaningful work, freeing up agents to kind of tackle those more complex cases that are out there. And then feedback. We have a lot of feedback mechanisms built into knowledge management. Feedback is a gift, whether it's coming from your agents, your employees, and your customers. So make sure those feedback mechanisms are in place for your articles on your portals and within your workspaces in Classic. And then make sure that you have kind of process in place to respond to that feedback. And I think we are going to go a little bit over. I promise you, I'll keep you 5 minutes over. So the next one is to kind of think about how you want to roll this out. We do have that flexibility to scale, like I showed you in the Now Assist panel. So you don't have to turn this on for all your agents at once. You can start doing pilot groups. You can start training your agents and your pilot groups on the type of content that you expect to see in your articles if you haven't already. And then you can kind of scale out this on your timeline with being able to give out those roles within groups. So you can start working on your timeline now. If you're thinking about purchasing soon, do you want to start rolling this out every 3 months, every 3 weeks? What kind of really makes sense to your support teams in your organization? What makes sense for the training that you have in place? And then also what you need to do regarding lessons learned. So again, you don't have to turn this on for everyone all at once. You do have that flexibility to have that control in there. And then finally, focusing on governance. So I'm being a little tongue-in-cheek about the floodgates because I do hear that a lot, but we do have those processes to control those floodgates. But you really do want to evaluate your governance. AI is kind of a mirror to your processes and your data quality. It will expose any kind of issues that you have in those. So really kind of think about your governance. Think about how you're handling duplicates right now. Think about how you plan to handle duplicates in the future as it becomes easier for agents to create articles. Safe Harbor, we are looking at features to help you with duplicates. We just don't have it for version 1. So if you are getting on version 1, think about the duplicate management. Also focus on relevance and validity. So we want to make sure that our articles are up to date. AI search really keys a lot on freshness and other kind of relevant fields in there, and we have some documentation on the community about that. So you want to make sure that these articles are up to date, especially as we don't have generative AI creating a bunch of articles and then they kind of just get stale. So this is really kind of where your valid to dates come into play, and then they should really kind of drive your review processes. So review processes, how often do you review your articles? How is that handled? Do you have strategy in place to review more higher value and higher traffic articles versus lower value and lower traffic articles? Just some things to kind of think about with that. I see we have a few questions. Let me cover this top FAQ and then I'll see if I can hit these questions, and then I have a survey for y'all. So are there, as far as language, I saw we had a question about Spanish. So Now Assist does not support any languages other than English as of the May release, as of this time. So we don't support non-English cases as well. So if you try to create an article from like a case that's in Spanish, we don't have any guardrails for you. You can definitely click that button and try to do it. We can't guarantee the outcome of that article. And that's something that we won't support with a case. So just know that we are only kind of supporting English as a language right now. We also don't have word count guardrails. So some of our products do. We're not placing those guardrails on you. So we're not going to check for word count before creating an article for version 1. External content, not for version 1, but it is on the roadmap. Those custom templates, we have it on the roadmap, not for version 1. Knowledge blocks. So knowledge blocks currently aren't supported in AI search indexing. So we're not going to generate article or knowledge blocks for you right now. We kind of have to wait for knowledge blocks to be indexed and safe harbor. That is for Yokohama. And then we'll kind of put it on our roadmap to start doing generation for knowledge blocks. So kind of keep an eye on that. I know we have a lot of information about that coming out. I do get that question a lot. And then adjustment controls. So we are looking at adjustment controls such as tone, length, rephrasing, all the adjustment controls you're used to seeing in other products. Safe harbor, we're looking at this for the August release. So a lot of great things coming out soon. I want to throw this survey up. I do have some kind of questions about what you'd like to see. I kind of have some ranking of different features you'd like to see for August and so on. So if you have time, please fill out this survey. And then I know we're a little bit over. Let me just hit these 2 questions. I think the article templates one we covered, and then going to 1 KB we covered. So we're good on questions. So I went a little over time. I appreciate everyone hanging out with me and following along. And we'll definitely have some more kind of deep dives on this after our GA release. But thank you so much. Thank you, Eliza. Thank you, Victor, for your time today and getting this set up and coordinated.
Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you.